I did my capstone on the different parenting styles and how they impact the upbringing of a child. There's 4 different kinds, and many parents don't realize that how they parent their child at a young age can impact them in their future. So the first parenting style is uninvolved or neglectful, and these parents don't show up for their kids and they just pay no attention to them. And the kids struggle with like substance abuse because they were never told that those substances are bad, and so they often find themselves in like hard situations as they get older. The next one is authoritative, and many parents tend to like have this parenting style and go for that, and that's when they set boundaries for their kids and rules by like explaining to them why that's the way they want it, and they also have expectations that they know their kids can achieve. These kids grow up to be very strong and like have good academic success, and they have good careers in their future. The next one is permissive, and these parents want the more like friend type of feeling with their child, so they let them do whatever they want. They set no rules, and these kids grow up to be like snobby and think that they run the world. And in the workforce, that's not good because you have bosses and you need to meet their expectations, and it's not always about you. Then last one is authoritarian, and this parenting style, the parents set the rules for their kids without explaining to them like why. They also have strong high expectations that their kids can't always meet. So these kids grow up to have low self-esteem, thinking that they're not always worth it. And they also struggle with self-identity because they were always told how they were supposed to be.
All right, so my capstone research was focused on tongue ties. Now, a tongue tie is a thick band of tissue underneath the tongue that binds to the bottom and hinders movement. Now, this doesn't seem like a big issue, but it can cause a lot of effects as you get higher in the severity. Now, on the right side of my board, the effects talk about how throughout your childhood and adulthood, the impact gets worse and worse. Now, as a child, the 2 biggest things are when you're first born, you might have issues breastfeeding on your mother, so you'll have lack of nutrition. This can also impact the mother because they have postpartum depression because they feel like they can't perform. On top of that, hindered oral and facial development can greatly impact someone who has a tongue tie because the lower and mid face will have deficits causing issues in how you look and you're not being able to develop correctly. As you get into adulthood, the 2 main issues are about TMJ and sleep apnea. With sleep apnea, your tongue doesn't sit in the correct position, causing you to not be able to breathe correctly while you sleep, so you'll wake up multiple times during the night. And on top of that, the TMJ, with your tongue not being in the correct position, other muscles tend to compensate. So the TMJ will start and you'll have pain and locking in your jaw.
Hi, my name is Caitlin. I'm in the HHP Academy at Romeo, and my topic is how transgender athletes negatively affect women's athletics. You've probably heard of Leah Thomas, who competed as a man in the men's division, then transitioned to be a woman, and now is winning records in the NCAA Division I championships. Transgender athletes are injuring in women's athletics. This is Fallon Fox, who competed as a wrestler, a transgender wrestler, and fought Timika Brents and fractured her skull in the first minute and a half of the first round. This is Kelly Morgan, who competed as a man in the men's rugby, then transitioned into a women, and now competes in women's rugby and injured her teammates in practices and her opponents in games. News broadcasters come to her and they tell her how brave she is for her bravery. Doping and why I won't fix the problem. Doping is when you take substances to affect your athletic performance. So people will say, well, I'm taking testosterone, so now it makes it fair. I'm taking testosterone blockers or estrogen. But men have bigger lungs and hearts, and it helps get them less fatigued when they're doing athletic performance, especially cardio like swimming or running. Men also have bigger bone masses, which have more room for you to build muscle, and that's something that estrogen or testosterone can affect or change. Overall, men and women are different. That's why they can be different sports. Being transgender won't affect your ability to be a lawyer, accountant, a doctor, a teacher, an artist, but it will affect your performance in athletics.
So I did my senior capstone on law enforcement and mental health. I think it's a topic that more light needs to be shined upon, and I want to do something with law enforcement. So yeah, I'll be able to give you my project. So why mental health in law enforcement is important. First, law enforcement officers are regularly exposed to traumatic events every day, whether it be suicide, overdoses, you name it, they have to deal with. Even the way people talk to them in public. So yeah, they have to deal with a lot. That's why it's important to address that problem. Second, law enforcement officers significantly have impacted. If their mental health's messed up, they can have impacted judgment, act uncharacteristics, do things that isn't like themselves. So that's another reason why it's very important to address the problem. And a third reason why it's important to address mental health in law enforcement is to help reduce the stigma around law enforcement. You're supposed to be manly, you can't seek help, but that's just not true. I have some statistics to help back that up. Police officers experience depression at a rate 5 times higher than an average person, which is just crazy. They did a study, 140 officers committed suicide compared to 129 officers who died in the line of duty. So that shows that more officers are killing themselves than dying actually in the line of duty, which is just crazy. A survey done by the National Alliance of Mental Illness found that 86% of law enforcement officers believe that mental health is an important issue that needs to be addressed and isn't. So 86%, that's a big number. A lot of law enforcement officers believe that they need to seek help, but they don't actually have that help. I have right here a graph how likely it is for law enforcement officers to seek help. You can see it's very unlikely for them to seek help. Some reasons why they don't seek help are stigma, fear, there is no help. With the stigma, people think that they got to be manly, they can't seek help, but that's just not true. Fear, they might be afraid of how their peers might look at them if they go and seek that help. And third, there is no help, there is no organization or group of people that is just targeting law enforcement mental health. Some ways we can help that is by providing some mental health services, fostering a supportive work environment, addressing the root cause of stress, and promoting self-care. And yeah, that's my senior capstone. Thank you.